Hello and welcome to Digital Learning Day. Thank you for joining me for our session, Get Caught Up in Code. The link to today's presentation can be found there with the bit.ly link. It's bit.ly/codingdld21, and that's going to give you access to the resources that we're going to be working with today, all about coding and computer science. My name is Christine Danhoff, and I'm the Technology Integration Specialist at Genoa Area Local Schools in Genoa, Ohio, which is in Northwest Ohio. You'll find my Twitter handle there so we can connect after today's session or during this at some point. It's at @cmdanhoff. You'll also find my email, and if you click on the Technology Integration website, you'll come across my resources on my website. And again, the link to our resources today, and we're going to jump right in with getting caught up in code and looking at some different ways you can integrate coding and computer science with your students. So our goals of today's short session is, first, what is computer science? Second, we're going to look at a free curriculum from Codeorg and look at their vision and what is included in that curriculum. And then third, we're going to look at ways that you can integrate this into multiple subject areas and into the classroom, and resources that you can take back and start tomorrow with your students. So first, what is computer science, right? Some people think that it's just about learning technology, but it's so much more than that. It's everywhere in our world around us. It's actually very foundational. We need this with our students. It's another literacy language for them. But what computer science definition actually is using the power of computers to solve problems. But of course, there's so much more to that. And you can see these students doing lots of different critical thinking skills and problem-solving skills with coding and computer science. Many people think that computer science is vocational, that it's just a place where they have to go and they're just going into that one job. But it's much more than that. As I mentioned before, it's foundational. Just like we have other subjects such as language arts and science and math there, we need to make this a part of how our world works, how we solve problems, and take it to the next level. So here's some stats for you. As you can see here, 67% of all the new jobs in STEM are in computing, okay? But only 11% of STEM bachelor's degrees are in computer science. So how can we fix this? How can we change our kids' thinking, and how can we prepare them for jobs that may not even exist yet? Well, the Codeorg vision, which is what I'm going to touch a little bit on today, is that every school, every student should all have the opportunity to learn about computer science and coding. So I'm going to share a quick video here from Codeorg, and it's called Change the World, and we're going to hashtag that CS for good.
The world has some big problems, but I'm little. What can I do?
Even when problems seem big, we can tackle them one step at a time.
Our generation can help make a more prosperous, equitable, and sustainable world.
I'm learning to code.
I'm designing apps that solve local problems.
I'm programming robots.
I'm learning computer science to make change happen.
Because with technology, we can build robots to clean the world's oceans.
We can program drones to detect forest fires quickly.
We can empower young women with digital skills and tools.
We can program mobile apps to streamline farming in poor rural areas.
We can use gene sequencing to diagnose diseases.
And create personalized medicine to cure them.
I'm little, but don't look at my size.
Look at my potential.
I can make change happen.
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 And of course, let computer science change the world, and let our students change the world, because I know all of you that are out there watching, it is amazing to see all the great things our students can create and do. So diving into the Codeorg curriculum, which is free again, we're going to kind of focus on the elementary portion of that, so K-5, but there are also middle school and high school areas as well. So middle school is called CS Discoveries, and the high school is called CS Principles. And so you'll see there the different areas that it covers. And we're going to look at the K-5 course A to F today. And as I break it down, you're going to find that when I share with you some of the resources, you're going to see a mix of what's called unplugged or hands-on type activities, as well as plugged activities where students are on the computer or using technology. Of course, the courses change and are developmentally appropriate by what students are able to do. It has areas for students to have text-to-speech, or have the speech read to them, so that way they can hear what they're supposed to do. There's immersive reader built in that you can have different languages. And there's so much more with this that it incorporates so many different curriculum standards as you go through. So here's kind of how it's laid out. So as you can see, we're starting at the unplugged area, which is that hands-on here where students are doing activities with partners or by themselves or in a group. There's something called a bridging activity where we're tying that hands-on piece now and bringing it into the next step of doing it on the computer. And then of course the plugged portion is when the kids are actually using the computer to try out some of those different block coding skills and put those algorithms into place. So within the Code.org website, if you go to Code.org and sign up for a free account as a teacher, you're going to find that it's going to ask you to kind of locate what area or what grade level band you want to take a look at. And so when you go in and create a class, you can see here that I'm going to see over here different teacher resources that are all available. And you're also going to see over to the right, there's a little arrow that you can open up. So you can see what the lesson will look like as a teacher with that detailed lesson plan, and you can click on student and see exactly what your students are going to see on the screen. The other part I really love about this is that you can decide what is visible and what is hidden to the students as you put these lessons into place. So if I only want to share 1 or 2 activities first, I can make those visible, and then I can hide the rest of the things that I want to cover later with my kids. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this here. This is an actual lesson plan. And as we're looking in here, we're in course A, which is kindergarten. And you're going to see here I'm in lesson 4, which covers sequencing. Now this part is in the the plugged area. And as you can see here, it walks through all the things that you'll need, the vocabulary that you're going to be talking about. You can print out actual hands-on blocks so that way you can blow them up and have the kids manipulate those, as well as the teaching guide here. So it's going to take you through that bridging activity that we did from the unplugged and now working into the plugged. And then here's the actual links to the activities. So I can click right within this and say view on Code Studio. And here is what this lesson is talking about when we're doing sequencing with Scrat. Here's the portion over here that I was talking about that it can read to the students, as well as has that immersive reader built in. And then from there, students are going to test out their code. And so they're going to be learning about dragging and dropping the blocks, running it. There's a little video here again. So if they need to see again what to do, they can do that. And then over here on the right, as they get more advanced into the older grades, I can hit show code and I can actually see the JavaScript version of that. So of course, kindergarten may not be there yet, but at some point they may be ready to. So here again is some examples. We're going to just walk through briefly the unplugged and the bridging and then the plugged activities. So here's an example of unplugged lesson A for kindergarten, and you can play that video within your link here that you have. But I'm going to show you how you could do this in a safe way or with groups of students, and we're talking about algorithms. So I've taken that unplugged lesson and I've put it into Google Jamboard so we can project it on our interactive whiteboard or on our screen, and we can walk through together marking these up. Now you can also do this. There's a printable version, so each kid can have their own copy and they can circle and they can cut and paste, which you'll see here that they need to cut out the arrows. But I've made it so that way we can do it together as a group, possibly first, or if you're short on time, you can use something like this. So Jamboard is a great option to do some of these unplugged activities if you're worried about sharing paper or sharing supplies. And then what we have what's called here the bridging activity. And if I click on the strawberry, you can see once again, I incorporated Jamboard here. And I took that activity kind of to tie in and say, okay, last time we were using the arrows, but this time we're going to draw the arrows because as you can see then, it's going to take us into this bridging part. Let's actually use the blocks here. So I need to lay out the blocks then. and drag them and put them together just like a puzzle would be in order to show the kids how this is going to now go into the plugged activity. So we're taking that hands-on and then moving forward again. And then here's what the plugged version will look like. What's great about Code.org is, again, developmentally appropriate. For the pre-readers, K and 1 and 2, they have what is here the north, south, east, west blocks with just the arrows. And then as they get into the reader portion, 2nd through 5th, you're going to see here the block code with the text on it to tell them that that arrow north means move forward, or to move down, of course, is the south. So lots of different things that you'll see incorporated in there. The other piece that many don't realize that are in there, which is such a great way to build teamwork, help your students use their problem solving and critical thinking skills, is what Code.org calls pair programming. And again, I've incorporated a video that you could play there. But what it actually is you're partnered up with someone, and one person is the driver, which is the one doing the mouse and the keyboard, and the other person is the navigator here, so that they're the one telling them, kind of like a GPS, of what they need to do. So how you would set that up is, if I were here in my Code.org lesson, I would have my students already in my class, so they would be in my section, and they would come up here to their name and they'd say pair programming, and then they would choose your class. Okay, so they would choose their class here, and then they would go ahead and click on who they were going to pair partner with for the day. And what's great about that is, as the teacher, however far they get, so if they get to puzzle 7 here, it's going to show up on my dashboard for both of those students how far they got. So I can still track within my dashboard how far the students got and what area they need to work on some more. Now this part is, how are we integrating this now into the classroom? So what's great about this is you can take these Code.org lessons, and this was a 2nd grade class in our school district, where the students were studying actually language arts story sequence. And we incorporated this activity of cup stacking. It's called My Robotic Friends for 2nd grade. And it taught them about that story sequence. It taught them about sequence and algorithms in computer science. And it also showed them some skip counting patterns in math, all while they're working together here, as you can see, hands-on, no computers involved, and they're beginning to see how a computer manipulates and works or carries out that program. And then here again, all of these are linked that you can click on them. But what's great about this is, no matter what way you want to do this, if you want to do it hands-on like you saw there, or you could have them each do their own and use Seesaw, which this is a link to take you to Seesaw, where kids can take pictures or video of themselves acting it out and drag the arrows that way. And you'll also find here that Code.org has made modifications since our pandemic here for virtually or socially distanced classrooms. So if you're still meeting with students in a hybrid area, or if you want to make sure they're safe and socially distanced, check out their document here on how you can do that successfully in your classroom. Here's another great example of how you can incorporate computer science and coding, not only as a separate activity, but built right in. So this is one of my favorite classes, Miss Carrie Jackson, and our preschoolers here at Genoa. She incorporates into every aspect of her morning. So there's circle time, they're talking about the weather, they have to code and provide the algorithm for Bbot to get to the right weather symbol for the day. She has a number line usually on the floor here where they will go about the days of the week and what day it is and have them code to that area. And then here you can see we were doing a project for Thanksgiving with the book Balloons Over Broadway. The kids got to decorate their helium balloon here, and then we had different areas set up on the mat that they were coding Bbot around the city of New York. So lots of fun things that you can do where it's not an extra, but it's built right into your daily routines. Now, if you want to, again, have some extra resources, this is the next part. So how can I integrate this? Well, this is another great example. If I click on the Bbot emulator, so again, our preschool is using this, and I did something similar with our kindergarten team, and you can do this with 1st grade and many grades. You have an alphabet mat, as well as you can have a CVC words mat, which is what we were doing. And you can have the students program Bbot to do different things. So if I gave them the word at cat, they'd have to program Bbot here on their device Or we could do it together on a board, and we could say that we need to go forward, 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 turn right, and go forward, and then hit go. And the students are going to be able to see their algorithm, test it out. Once again, I'm not only doing my language arts skills, but I'm incorporating coding into this. So this is great that you can use this on an interactive board, or you can have students do it on their own device. And then again, using Jamboard is another great option for virtual collaboration. Utilizing Seesaw and all of these different resources that I've given you. There's also some great resources for storybooks to read to kids to get them excited about computer science. If you click on this one, it's going to take you to a Google Slides activity that incorporates the storybook, How to Code a Sandcastle. So all these different things that you can utilize with your students and have them either do it on a device, do it hands-on, or do it together as a class. Couple other integrated features here, something called unruly splats, which I absolutely love. Our third graders were up and moving with this one, and this is a great option to use for phys ed, for music class. This was our tech or STEM class with our students, and here you can see they were acting out a game of red light, green light, or four corners. They did both. And from here, they used their devices and had to program those blue splats that you see on the floor to do different things as they stepped on them. One of my other favorites here, who doesn't love Legos, right? So here's another great resource to integrate into your daily routine. It's called Bits and Bricks. And this is a great intro or addition to if you have We Do Robotics or Dash Robots or the Dot ones or Q, whatever you have in your district. And if you don't have any of those, that's okay too, because there's so many resources out there to allow you to integrate these things with your students. So I'm gonna let that load up there a second. And then from there, you'll get to play. And it takes you through a little activity where students are going to, kind of like the Bebop emulator, have to go through as they are working there. And then again, I love to collect resources, but I most importantly love to share them with educators. So here you're going to find a Wakelet collection of so many different printable resources, my whole Google Drive folder of lots of different activities for Ozobots, for Dash Robots, again, for the We Do's. So here are my Google Drive folders of all the materials that you may want to use with your students. These came from Shannon Miller, which is a great person to follow on Twitter. And she had these great choice boards that she created for her students with coding and computer science. And then, of course, so many other areas that you can build this in. So computer science doesn't just have to be that hour of code week. It's a great way to start, but it can be incorporated into storytelling in your classroom. Having students program the robot to the math fact. You can have them have them program the spheros to the different planets that orbit around the sun. So there's all kinds of ways that this can be built in where it's not an extra. And then last but not least, you'll see the code there to enter for your certificate. But let's reflect on today's session. It was very short, I know, and just kind of an intro to computer science and coding. But think about, what did you like and what questions do you still have? And I'd love for you to add those to our shared notes doc, or please feel free to reach out to me again. My contact info is within the slide deck, so that way you can email me or contact me on Twitter at any point. Again, thank you so much for joining me for Digital Learning Day. You'll see a place there that you can share any of your feedback. And again, don't forget the link to the session deck recording here, bit.ly/codingdld21. And again, thanks so much, everyone, for joining me, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.